Hello, welcome back. We are on part 2 of the 12D notes for geometric series. Alright, so we did an example before. We're going to take a look at another example. This one's example 7 from page 406. Okay, it says that k minus 1, 2k, and 21 minus k are consecutive terms of a geometric series. Find what k is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we know that we are going to multiply k minus 1 times something to get to 2k, and then we're going to multiply 2k times something else to get to 21 minus k. So if you remember from the previous example, we know that the best way to do this is to take a term and then put it over the previous term to figure out what the multiplier is. So we can say let's take 2k over k minus 1. Okay? So we take this divided by that, and that's going to find our multiplier. Well, we know that we need to multiply the 2k times the multiplier to get the 21 minus k. So then what we can do, the trick here is, we know that we should be able to take 21 minus k and divide that by 2k, right? So that gives us the ratio of the second to the first as well as the ratio of the third to the second. And these two ratios should be equal to each other. So now we can set these equal to each other. Okay? So that's the tricky part of this, trying to figure that out. And then we can now, since you have a fraction equaling another fraction, let's find cross products here. All right, so we should be able to multiply these together and set them equal to each other. So 2k times 2k excuse me, should equal k minus 1 times 21 minus k. All right? So, let's see. 2k times 2k is 4k squared. 2 times 2 is 4. K times k is k squared. And then this here, if you're multiplying a binomial by a binomial, you got to FOIL it, right? So we've got 2, or you can do the stack method like we did last year, but most people seem to remember FOIL easier, so let's do that. All right, k times 21 is 21k. K times negative k is negative k squared. Negative 1 times 21, negative 21. And then negative 1 times negative k is k. All right? So we end up with 4k squared is equal to, let's see, we've got a negative k squared. And then we have 21k plus k is 22k. And then we also have minus 21. All right? So this is kind of a big fat mess here. I would suggest moving everything to one side or the other and then seeing what we can do from there. So I always like my leading coefficient. I always like the coefficient in front of the variable with the highest power to be positive. So I'm going to add k squared to both sides. And that gives me 5k squared equals 22k minus 21. Okay? Now that doesn't seem to be terribly helpful, so let's do this. Let's move everything to one side. So I'm going to move the 22k and then negative 21 to the other side, so minus 22k and minus 21. It gets rid of these from over here, so we get 0, and then we have 5k squared minus 22k minus 20. Oh wait, let's see, we subtracted 21. We've got to add 21 to both sides, don't we? Plus 21, so that should be plus 21. All right. So now we have this, and we have to figure out what makes this equal to 0. So we can do a couple different things from here. We can try to factor it. The leading coefficient isn't 1, so factoring is not going to be terribly pleasant. Another thing that we can do is just plug it into the quadratic. So I'm going to just try that out. I'm going to just plug this thing here into the quadratic formula. Quadratic, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right? All right. Now a word from your president. Okay. Let's continue on. So we've got this here. So we know from this here that the A term is 5, B is negative 22, and C is 21. All right, so now we can plug that into the quadratic. So we got x equals negative, B is negative 22, so it's negative 22, plus or minus negative 22 squared minus 4 times A, which is 5, times C, which is 21, all over 2 times, that's not pretty, let's try that again, 2 times A, which is 5. Okay, now I know a lot of you are saying, well, that does not look very pleasant, but it's either this or trying to factor it, and I don't think factoring is going to be a whole lot easier than this, so I'm just going to plug it into the quadratic and see what we get. So let's use our calculator. Let's see, well, we know that negative 22 is simply 22. Let's figure out what this here all equals. So we're going to take, oops, there we go, negative 22, and we're going to square it, so it's basically just 22 squared. There's my square. And then I'm going to subtract 4 times 5 times 21. Alright, and that gives me 64, which is a nice, perfect square, so that'll be handy. And then we go 2 times 5 is 10. So we get that x equals 22 plus or minus the square root of 64 is 8 all over 10. So we get that x is going to equal 22 plus 8 is 30 over 10. That's 10. Or x is going to equal 22 minus 8, which is, what, 14 over 10. So x is going to equal 3, or x is going to equal 14 over 10, that's 7/5. Okay, so k could equal either one of those numbers. All right? Okay, let's see. We have one more example. It's probably going to take a little bit more than 2 minutes, so I'm going to stop this one here and we'll do one more video on 12D. All right? All right.